Hey, I'm Rod Trevino with Seth Simmons, and you're watching KHOU 11 Plus. Today, we're helping you get ready for that holiday traffic jam.
And it is coming up fast. Doug Shoup with AAA Texas joins us live in studio this morning. Doug, are you expecting a record number of Texans this year?
We are. In fact, AAA Texas is projecting 5.7 million people here in the Lone Star State will take a trip of 50 miles or more away from home from Tuesday before Thanksgiving through the Monday after Thanksgiving. Now, the vast majority of those travelers will be going by automobile. 5.3 million Texans taking a road trip, about 315,000 will fly somewhere, and then about 129,000 will take another mode of transportation like a train, a bus, or even a cruise for this holiday. Now that overall travel volume of 5.7 million Texans traveling this Thanksgiving is actually 1.3% higher than what we saw last Thanksgiving, and it's 2.4% higher than what we saw in 2019 before the pandemic began. Yeah. So what we've just seen is consistently every major travel period this year, we have seen that the overall travel volumes have been higher than what we saw before the pandemic began.
Which is why I try to avoid travel for the holidays, you know, and also work gets in the way of that.
Yeah.
All right, so Doug, what are some of the hot spots the Texans would be going to?
Yeah, for Texans, folks will be going to San Antonio, they'll be going to Austin and the Hill Country, other major metro areas, you know, like they'll be coming to Houston, they'll be going to Dallas and Fort Worth. For those who are taking cruises, believe it or not, cruises are very popular during Thanksgiving, and a lot of folks will be going out of the ports here in Galveston, heading to the Caribbean destinations. Ooh. The #1 air destination for Texans, Orlando, Florida.
Of course.
Obviously, the Walt Disney World Park plays a huge role in that. You know, they decorate for the holidays right now, so a lot of people want to see that. Nationally, the big hotspots are, again, Orlando, Anaheim, because of Disneyland out in California.
Screaming kids.
Yes.
Screaming kids.
Yes.
We love them.
And New York City, it will also be very popular because of, you know, a lot of people like to see the Thanksgiving Day parade. Of course, you guys are going to be very busy with the Houston parade here, but a lot of folks will be going to New York City for that as well.
It all makes sense. Now, okay, let's go back to, you mentioned trains. So where are people going on trains? That sounds lovely. It sounds like a lovely holiday trip that's less extensive than being out on the roads.
It is. A lot of people are looking at doing different kind of experiences, and train travel is becoming very popular. We're talking about like these scenic excursions, like trips on the train through the Grand Canyon. A lot of people will fly to Williams, Arizona.
As opposed to doing the trains in Texas.
Right, you fly to those destinations, or in Canada, the Rocky Mountaineer is a very popular train destination that a lot of people, I mean, these are very nice trains with like beautiful glass ceilings, so you see all kind of incredible sights along your journeys. Ooh. So that's very popular. But then, you know, bus travel is popular too during these big holidays when people need to get to where they want to go to connect with their loved ones, to take part in these traditions that we love to take part. People will prioritize their budgets to travel. That's what we find every single year with these big holidays.
Yeah, take a train, Steph.
Yeah. Well, hey, the glass ceiling, that sounded
It sounds great, right?
Very scenic. That sounded way more appealing.
Take the Polar Express, right? That one? Is that a real thing?
That's what he made it sound like, the one in Canada. All right, so do you have any expert tips for people who are going out by road, though?
Yep, if you're taking that road trip, make sure your vehicle is ready for that road trip. So you want to check your tire tread and inflation. You want to make sure that you've checked your car's battery. Most vehicle batteries last between 3 to 5 years. So if your battery is 3 years old or older, you may want to test it out to make sure it has a good charge before you take that long road trip. Some other things, check your fluid levels, check your headlights, your taillights, your turn signals, make sure that they're all working properly. For safety on that road trip, get a good night of sleep, at least 7 hours before a long road trip, so you're not drowsy behind the wheel.
Yeah,
and then also make sure everybody is buckled up, wearing their seatbelts for the entire drive. Don't speed, always obey the speed limit. And of course, we always say, don't drive intoxicated, don't drive intoxicated. Remember that using those smartphones behind the wheel can be just as deadly as getting behind the wheel after drinking alcohol. We know that the busy times, the big traffic congestion is going to be on that Tuesday and Wednesday before Thanksgiving, particularly between the hours of 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. best bet, leave as early in the day as you possibly can. You want to avoid those afternoon commute hours, the rush hour, when people heading home from work are mixing on the roads with travelers heading in and out of town.
Nightmare, nightmare. And you know, you're talking about making sure your car is in proper, you know, driving condition. I think the number one thing that people ignore is the tire pressure.
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to test that tire pressure regularly. And then also the tread. And you know, you can do something really simple if you don't have a tire tread reader. You can use something as simple as a quarter. And what you do with this quarter is you put it upside down in the grooves of the tire. If you can see the top of George Washington's head, that means that your tread is too low, and you really should replace that tire before a long road trip.
Yeah.
And you know, for those who are flying, they have to be prepared as well. We're reminding everybody the airports are going to be busy, both hobby and intercontinental. Get there at least 2 hours before domestic flights, at least 3 hours before international flights. Reserve your parking spot ahead of time. If you plan to drive yourself to the airport, don't just count on a parking spot being there. You could waste a lot of time looking for a parking spot, so reserve that space ahead of time. Check in online at home to avoid the long lines at the kiosks inside the terminal. And finally, download your airline's app. It's going to let you know right away if there are any changes to your flight.
Yeah, and check ahead to make sure that if you do use AAA, the roadside assistance, should you need it, your membership's not expired.
Right, absolutely. Because
or if it is expired, can we call and like go ahead and get that taken care of while we need the assistance?
Get it taken care of. And I'll tell you that's really important, because I'll tell you during that period from Tuesday to Monday of Thanksgiving week, AAA Texas anticipates coming to the roadside rescue of 29,000 stranded drivers here in Texas alone. Now, the primary reasons why people will call us for help will be dead batteries, flat tires, and then people also locking themselves out of their vehicles.
Oh, that's happening.
Of course, Black Friday shopping starts on Friday. People get, you know, distracted. Make sure you always have your keys in hand. You know where they are before you lock yourself out of that vehicle.
And you talked earlier about how many people are going to be on the roads, traveling, you know, in their cars, going to their destinations. What's going on with the gas prices right now?
Gas prices are actually lower than what we saw last year. So that's another incentive for those who are taking road trips. Right now, the statewide average is, you know, somewhere around $2.65 for a gallon of regular unleaded. So that's less than what we saw last year, and that's good news. A little bit more extra spending money in people's pocketbooks if they're taking that road trip this year.
Now, do you expect it to spike a little bit days leading up to it?
Good question.
Yeah.
We've been seeing these prices moving lower, but of course the demand for fuel as people fill up for their road trips will put upward pressure on the pump prices, but it's not likely that we'll see any kind of increase until after the holiday. So we should be okay to fill up for these lower costs before Thanksgiving.
Now, airport travel is always stressful to fly. What do you sometimes my question is like, should I drive to the airport or should I take an Uber? What's going to be better financially and ease of entry and exit?
That's a good question, because we know that the airport parking lots fill up. So what you want to do is do that research ahead of time. Don't wait until the day of your flight to try to find the cheapest place to park. Do some of that research ahead of time. And then if you find, well, you know what, it's going to be cheaper for me to just take a rideshare service, then you want to consider doing that and make sure you have that lined up ahead of time. Again, something that you can actually arrange ahead of time to have that rideshare service right there when you need it at whatever particular time in the morning. But, you know, you don't want to wait on that stuff, because, you know, a lot of people are going to be using rideshare, trying to get to the airports. If you wait, you might have a long wait time for that rideshare and then jeopardize being late for your flight.
Yep. You can reserve your spot, reserve your ride.
Reserve it all ahead of time.
Advance, Ron.
Why are you pointing at me? I'm right here. I've got a good question though. Now, if you're going out of town, say you're driving from here to Austin or San Antonio or Corpus, and you're bringing food, do you have any food refrigeration tips?
What
do you advise people to do?
Because, you know, a lot of people will make their, you know, food and bring their, you know, portion to the dinner table. You know, just make sure you've got sealable containers, right? And make sure they're properly sealed. Obey the speed limit so you don't have to slam on the brakes and that food goes falling. Make sure that you're just taking it easy out there. You're giving yourself extra time. And then, of course, think about the food, making sure that it's kept cool at the appropriate temperature so it's going to be safe and delicious when we all eat it.
I'm going to bring the tamales.
Oh, I love the tamales.
Skip the ketchup on the tamales, though.
What
Don't
should I
put
bring
ketchup
then?
on
Stuffing?
Just bring your
Myself.
your personality.
I'll bring the pumpkin pie. How's that?
Perfect. Okay, we're all set then.
I'm starving
Doug,
Marvin.
Thank you.
Doug KHOU, AAA
Anytime.
Texas. Thanks for joining us.
Anytime.